On the news tonight, FCT Minister of State applauds President Buhari's efforts at bringing succor to the poorest of the poor. Correspondent X-rays how senior cadre officials are coping without the support of the lower cadre. And expectations remain high among FCT residents on resumption of the Abuja light rail in the face of the second wave of COVID-19. A very good evening to you and welcome to the news at 7 p.m. on NTA Channel 5, Abuja, the Unity Station. I am Nolene Ebel Ame with the news. The Federal Capital Territory Administration says the decision to initiate the National Social Investment Program (NSIP) by President Muhammadu Buhari as a strategy for enhancing social inclusion is a demonstration of his efforts to bring succor and hope to the poorest of the poor and vulnerable people. FCT Minister of State Ramatu Tijani Aliu was speaking at the symbolic disbursement of grant to rural and semi-urban women in the Federal Capital Territory. Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
These are some of the beneficiaries of the grant held at the Sepren Ekwensi Center for Art and Culture. The introduction of the socio-economic recovery programs and the social investment has no doubt contributed positively in Nigerians' quest to win the war against poverty, especially at a time when the country and the global community is striving to recover from the difficulties occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Total of 5,000 beneficiaries in the Federal Capital Territory. FCTA is convinced of its roles to provide the right environment for this to happen within the FCT, and is also committed to supporting my dear sister, the Honorable Minister.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Omar Farouk, made known that the grant is expected to increase income and productive assets.
President Muhammad Buhari has graciously approved expansion of the National Social Investment Program to touch more lives and lift more Nigerians above poverty line.
The Social Development Secretariat is in line with the present administration's mandate on eliminating extreme poverty.
The Nigerian cultural diversity was again on display as the FCT cultural troupe spiced up the occasion with the unity dance. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NT News.
And now to the update on COVID-19 in the FCT. Figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) as at 20th January 2021 indicates 116 new cases of COVID-19 in the FCT, making the total number of confirmed cases to be 15,025, while active cases stand at 4,032. And the number of discharged cases in the territory now stands at 10,875, and sadly 118 deaths have been recorded in the FCT. And still looking at COVID-19, with the uncertainty about Nigeria's capacity to store the COVID-19 vaccines expected at the end of the month put to rest, there is still divergent opinions about the acceptability of the vaccine. Former Ojinta tells us more.
The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency recently assured Nigerians of the availability of 3 ultra-cold chain equipment capable of storing 400,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine at +2 to +3 degrees Celsius. While NAFDAC says it is ready to certify the vaccine before it will be administered. With all these assurances, it was still a case of different strokes for different folks.
To me, that they are drugs, I'm not sure I'm going to take it. Because one, where they are dying in hundreds, they are yet to take the drugs. Is it we now that have the atmosphere to resist this, that you want to come and give the drugs to?
I won't take the vaccine, even though they will bring the vaccine to Nigeria. Let the first give the big men first. We'll observe them for 6 months. If the team work, Nigeria will agree.
However, these respondents say they are ready to receive the vaccine for the good of all.
Is it anybody's fault? It's nobody's fault now. It's not the leader's fault. It's sickness that just came and it's other places. So why won't they take a vaccine?
Anybody that refuses to take the vaccine is in no one negligent. You cannot compare Oyibo and Africa. Why? Because our body chemistry is different. The COVID-19 is real and it kills a lot of people.
If they want to die, let them die. If they want to survive, let them take it and survive. If there is any disease.
While Nigerians still await the delivery of the COVID-19 vaccine, public commentators say more sensitization is required to change some negative mindsets being generated in some quarters. Ifoma Ojinta, NTA News.
Now let's shift our attention to workplace. Non-executive officers in the workplace are usually in the minor population of manpower. Against the backdrop of the directive by the Presidential Task Force to workers on grade level 12 and below to work from home, how are the senior cadre officials coping with the workload without their subordinates? Ilyas Onotu Yakubu in this special report brings to bear the new reality in public offices in the FCT.
Life is in phases and challenges are in sizes. But when they happen, how do individuals adjust to cope with them? This is what we'll be finding out from senior career officers in the face of the sit-at-home order by government to meet career civil servants in the workplace. The FCT Administration Secretariat provides the perfect scenery in sight. Ajayi Rotimi is a deputy director in the FCT who has had to cope with pressure of work by multitasking, even on weekends, to ensure that productivity thrives. And this is the story that has fast become the new reality at the public workplace since the outbreak of the pandemic.
Some of us close by 8. We come to the office on Saturday. After church on Sunday, some of us will be here in order to meet up and be able to deliver service.
Of course, there are a couple of junior essential service providers in these offices.
We tend to do like division of labor amongst ourselves, just find a way to manage everything.
We are doing more of what other people that are meant to be doing. So,
what adjustments have the authorities brought to bear to enable workers cope with the new reality?
Make sure that our senior officers are computer literate. The ones that are computer literate, we use them maximally to make sure that they do their own best to cushion the effect of the junior ones that are not in the office.
Like they say, when life gives you lemons, find a way to transform them into lemonades. And that is what Ajayi Rotimi and others like him have learned to help them cope with the pressure. Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
And from the motorist perspective, despite directive given to commercial taxi drivers not to carry more than 4 passengers as a way of preventing the spread of COVID-19, some motorists seem not to comply with the directives. Rosemary Motuleng Bilal visited some motor parks for a situation report.
In the wake of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic and its variant, it is expected that people should be more careful. But that was not the case as some motor parks visited, as many vehicles do not observe social distancing.
I will tell you it's 50% of the passengers that wear masks. As you can see, watch everybody now. As you can see, watch. Because many people are not used to it. Many people complain about it. Many people said if they use it once, they won't use it, they must buy another one again. So that's why. not because of anything.
Increasing liter of the money of the liters of the fuel. We must to increase the prices, or the passenger no one pay the actual prices where he's supposed to pay.
Another issue of concern is that of face masks, as some passengers and drivers are seen without their face masks.
There is COVID-19. If we can really take precautions, it will be nice, because to avoid the spreading, you may not know who has or who doesn't have. So me, personally, I try to preserve myself, to protect myself from any eventuality, because you don't know who has or who does not have.
Therefore, authorities have continued to urge Nigerians on the need to adhere strictly on the safety protocols to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Rosemary Molteleng Bilal, NTA News.
I'm still staying with the transport system, suspended by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 due to the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus disease. The FCT Abuja light rail remains grounded, but expectations remain high among Abuja residents towards resumption of rail system as other services are gradually picking up even in the face of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, Rosemary Motilem Bilal tells us more.
Commonly known as Abuja Light Rail, is a light rail transport system in the FCT, which is the first rapid transport system in the country and in West Africa, and the second such system in sub-Saharan Africa. The Abuja metro stations are an addition to the city transport system, linking the city center with the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, among others, which also create access to the Idu industrial layout.
Being able to get the light rails up and running is something that I feel will be something that's quite good for Nigerians. It gets you to town, it's easier to access for just about everybody.
The train services we learned were suspended to curb the spread of COVID-19, a situation that has left passengers and users begging for a return to a status quo to fast-track accessibility to the Abuja Industrial District for ease of business and rapid industrialization of the nation's capital.
This is where I work, and people usually come, they'll ask for the train, and the train is not moving from here. They have to go to Idu railway station. Yeah, and some of them have been complaining, why is the train not moving up to now? I told them, we don't know what's happening.
It was useful, very useful. It would have been nice at least because of this COVID and whatsoever. It would have been assisted.
Conceived with the intent to ease the flow of traffic in the nation's capital, in and outs for air travelers, the light rail, since it was inaugurated, has not been able to give to the targeted objectives. The Abuja Light Rail, with the mission of being the milestone of a new Abuja city transport system, made possible by the federal government, in line with its plan of making the capital center a media city, is suffering setback, though efforts to speak with the management of the FCT Transport Secretariat is yet to yield results. Rosemary Molteleng Bilal, NTA News.
My honeycomb, my flavored chocolate, a yakpa for you now.
I'm coming.
Come, let me spoil you.
Look, this is not boil or abscess. Now money.
Guys, I beg. I'm gonna show for King's Lounge right now. Babes, yakpa for you.
Find your first. Get a Glow special data plan. Dial *777# Glow.
Let's talk sports now. Aruna Quadri, among other top African stars listed for first Table Tennis Championship in 2021 as Manchester United reclaim top spot in the EPL. Details with Rukaya Abbas Hassan on Sports Brief.
A former FIFA and CAF instructor, Adeboye Onigbinde, has identified lack of proper football development program as a major factor hindering football development in the country. Onibinde said this following the 3-2 loss suffered by the Nigeria Under-17 team to their Cote d'Ivoire counterparts in the finals of the Wafubi Under-17 Championship on Monday. He urged football administrators in the country to re-strategize and improve the football system, which had produced world-class players in the past. Africa's #1 table tennis player, Aruna Quadri, and heir apparent Olajide Omotayo are among top African stars listed for the first official table tennis event of the year, the World Table Tennis Championship scheduled for Qatar. African legend Ahmed Saleh, Omar Assar and Asad Khalid will also be part of the event, which is scheduled to take place at the Lusail Sports Arena in Doha from 3rd to 13th March 2021. Despite the goal scored by Nigerian forward Ademola Lookman for Fulham FC, Manchester United bagged another win to return to top spot on the Premier League table. In other news, new Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali has raised doubts over the renewal of Lewis Hamilton's contract. Domenicali wants to put Formula One drivers at the fore of his thinking as he attempts to help motorsport's premier competition continue expanding. But he is unsure if Hamilton will be part of that plan. With Sports Brief, Rukaya Abbas Hassan, NTA News.
Thank you, Rukaya. Before we go, remember to observe the non-pharmaceutical protocols to guard against the COVID-19, the second wave. That's it on the English version of the news. I leave you with the translations. Do have a lovely night rest.
Azan ba jilo ba yi ba ci ba wai yuze kwan kwa wai na yiwo abada pepepe ishan daje zuma wone wa goba ngai wakin zinda bado onko atuntin bai ba ga beweje no ayi tintogoda Muhammadu Buhari bejewe wa ga wo ba ma ayin ko za jin no ashigba sepan no ajiwe na bage baya abwaze incheyin Ivan Ozumba wa ga minister bibi akin zinda Ramatu Tijani Aliyu wa ga de jinjin ko ba ma aza kalagba yin asaida asu ajesu bedo no agnazawi wagage we dade no nsai nwo be gin we ya machine ga nanu nji me aza no na ya gaba machine bagage machine ko enkola be nsamane asa ko labalo san la lapu zo za he inje magui angage ay ko za no akinba no aza kalagba no aba gaba ajwe dubu shiba no azanu ami akinba bakusa barkaci gwamnati da jinjin atoko tunu afi nyasan yebo oya kinya zazanya gbedogun mbane shi abe awelo atoko tunu afi nyasan yebo nje corona virus yin bagaga oya zazanya bela pegin pa ama anawe tulo nge safewi ababa jinji sheba be shinwu nsapaye jesun Rosemary Motalan Bilan wale sheba wo be na bedai wagenge oya nye pya zanzanya akone jin kunsin no ayinye bedonu Africa ni ai gange sepa ye kwin ko zanzan sepa ko la ayin ye bedo no asepa aje nanu jimye nkwin ai nawe tulo nge na baige te ayege efiansan kwin ko godia la pulo na bien chenbejin oya nye kwin kwa kpagin na bage wo ko chewo minister sepas na zanya ato wa wo beshi na bai nan abanyawo abenyan no ainpe avunya abegin aigage no abe no ofishi be nyasan ye nanu ayikie atebebwa aba nu abaya ashigbe jun ama akonete jin ebo nsayen tigana agnege aba bayan lo umwa nu abeya afi shigbe ji nkwen ama abanu aye jilo aitni agnana paje ekwe henege aza umwa belo bai dabelo ngbe kun osunkun ya ngo baida batebe yege ahwiba achiye mbain ifoma ojinta nwale sheba webe na bedai wagnege sepa lafiya zanyanu ajiba sepa bagnege ashigbe ba lo akpeje peje dubu tayi ngun anyinu sepa ye nkone jinlo kwaka nai yaji lafiya yawe bedonu ashigbe bagnege babeku ashigbe mu pa kami abe ya apmajin bai no azankochi ama aku shaula ga gwamnati nge baye ga aza awekan ya ntu shigbe bo tuntun aza mbaku bugbanu ko ifi nge batbe yege bagwo achiye mbayin abo babwa wole lainu saisu.
Masu kallo da sauraron mu assalamu alaikum. A takaice ga fassarar wasu daga cikin labaran yau mai karantawa Yusuf Yakubu. Hukumar birnin tarayya ta ce hukuncin da gwamnatin tarayya ta yanke na kirkiro tsarin tallafawa masu karamin karfi da shugaban kasa Muhammadu Buhari ya kawo wani yunkuri ne na samar da sauƙin rayuwa ga talakawa fitik da masu karamin karfi. Wakiliyarmu Ifeanyi Ezimba ta haɗo mana rahoto cewa ƙaramar ministar Abuja Ramatu Tijjani Aliyu ita ce ta bayyana haka a lokacin raba tallafin ga matan ƙauyuka da karkara a nan birnin Abuja, inda aka raba wa kowace tallafin kuɗi naira 20,000. Ministar ta ƙara da cewa gudunmawa irin wannan za ta taimaka wajen yaƙi da talauci da ya yi wa mutane katutu a yayin da suke fafutukar farfadowa daga matsananciyar wahalar da cutar corona ta kawo duniya. Bayan dakatar da aikin jirgin kasan Abuja da kwamitin shugaban kasa mai yaƙi da yaduwar cutar corona ya yi a sanadiyar dawowar cutar karo na biyu, al'umma mazauna birnin Abuja na kyautata zaton cewa nan ba da daɗewa ba jirgin zai dawo aiki, kamar yadda sannu-sannu ake komawa ayyuka da sana'o'in da dawowar cutar ya dakatar. Wakiliyarmu Rosemary Motlin Bilal ta shaida mana cewa jirgin da ya kasance na farko a nahiyar Afirka ta yamma an kawo shi ne domin ya sauƙaƙa harkokin sufuri a ƙwaryar birnin tarayya Abuja. An dakatar da aikinsa ne takanas domin daƙile bazuwar cutar, amma yanzu haka masu ta'ammali da shi na roƙon gwamnati da ta yi nazari akan lamarin domin ta dawo da shi a samu sauƙin zirga-zirga da harkokin sana'a. A yayin da ake ta cece kuce cewa Najeriya ba ta da gurin da za ta ajiye allurar murar mashaƙo wato corona, a yanzu haka Najeriya ta ce tana da ma'adanar sanyi ta ajiye allurar, duk da ra'ayoyin 'yan ƙasa akan karɓar allurar ya bambanta. Wakiliyarmu Ifoma Ojinta ta kawo mana rahoto cewa a kwanan nan hukumar lafiya ta ƙasa ta ba da tabbacin kawo ma'adanan sanyi da za su ɗauki allurar kimanin 400,000. Bugu da ƙari, hukumar tabbatar da wato ingancin kayayyakin abinci da magunguna ta ƙasa ta ce a shirye take da ta tantance ingancin allurar kafin a fara yi wa 'yan ƙasa. To ƙarshen labarin namu ne kenan, mu kwana lafiya.
abịakwa m ọzọ na nke abalị ọka akụkọ bụ m Chisom Nwoke na nke abalị a ọchịchị obodo etiti ala anyị ekwuola na mkpebi nke onye isi ala Muhammadu Buhari n'iweta usoro ọrụ akpọrọ n'okwu bekee National Social Investment Program dịka otu ụzọ onye isi ala si eme ka ụmụafọ ala anyị sonye n'ihe a na-eme ma weta okwukwe maka ụbọchị ọma nye ndị ogbenye na ndị na-enweghị ka ọ dị ha n'ala anyị. Onye ọrụ anyị Ifeanyị Ezumba batara ya akọ na onye ọchị na-elekọta ọchị ime obodo na ọchị obodo abụ FCT Ramatu Tijani Aliyu kwupụtara nke a n'oge ọ na-eme mmemme nnyefe ego nke a na-akwụghachi nye ndị inyom nọ n'ime ime obodo iji nyere ha aka ịmalite ihe ha ga na-eme. Ebe ego a bụ 10,000 naira 2 ka ọ ga-eme ka o rute ndị emere maka nke a aka. Ụmụafọ ndị bi n'obodo abụ Abuja ka na-atụ anya na ọrụ ga-amaliteghachi n'okporo ụgbọ oloko ọgbara ọhụrụ bụ nke a kwụsịtụrụ n'ihi mgbasa nke nje ọrịa korona n'ala anyị, dịka ụfọdụ ihe ndị ọzọ amalite na-eme n'ebe ndị ọzọ n'agbanyeghị nje ọrịa. Rosemary Murtala Mbila wepụtara ya akọ na usoro ime njem a bụ nke a haziri maka ime njem n'ụfọdụ ebe na obodo abụ Abuja ma nwetazuo mbọ ọchịchị ala anyị ime obodo abụ Abuja ebe mara mma, ebe mbọ onye ọrụ anyị gbara iji kwuore ngalaba ụlọ ọrụ ọchịchị obodo a na-ahụ maka ime njem kụrụ afọ n'ala ruo n'oge a hazichara akụkọ a. Dịka ebumnuche ndị mmadụ na ala anyị bụ Naịjirịa agaghị enwe ike ịchịkọta ma nwee ebe a ga-echekwa ọgwụ mgbochi maka nje ọrịa korona bụ nke a tụrụ anya na ngwụcha nke ọnwa bụ nke ala anyị hazirila. Ha ka nwekwara ebumnuche dị iche iche maka ndị mmadụ ịnara ọgwụ mgbochi a. Ifeoma Jinta banyere obodo iji nweta ebumnuche ndị a ma webata akụkọ na ụfọdụ ndị na-etinye ọnụ n'okwu ọhaneze kọwaa na ọ dị mkpa ime nkụzi maka ịnara ọgwụ a, ebe ụfọdụ ụmụafọ ala anyị kwuru na ha adịla njikere ịnara ya, ebe ụfọdụ kwuru na ha adịghị njikere ịnara ọgwụ mgbochi a. Ọ bụ otu akọ anyị n'ọnụ ya dịkwa gị na mma. Ndewo.
Kálẹ̀ o ẹ̀sìnkú dédé wòyí ìròyìn iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán ìkànnì karùn-ún ti ìlú Àbújá ló ń dé sí etí ìgbọ̀nyín láti ẹnu Mọ́bọ́lájí Mátì. Aláṣẹ kejì fún ìlú Àbújá Ramatu Tijani Aliyu bí ó ti ń fún àwọn obìnrin tó ń gbé ìgbèríko l'Àbújá ní owó ìrànwọ́ 20,000 náírà sọ nínú ọ̀rọ̀ wípé ètò ọ̀hún jẹ́ lára akitiyan ìjọba Muhammadu Buhari láti fẹ̀rín sí ẹ̀rẹ̀kẹ́ àwọn tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó fún láwùjọ. Alákòjọpọ̀ ìròyìn Ifeanyi Ezumba ròyìn wípé aláṣẹ Ramatu tẹ̀síwájú sí wípé ètò ọ̀hún yóò lọ yíká gbogbo àwọn tó tọ́ sí. Adelé ọ̀gá àgbà ìdàgbàsókè ètò afẹ́ Kelvin Ike bákan náà sọ nínú ọ̀rọ̀ wípé ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ohun tí yóò ṣe àwọn ènìyàn láǹfààní ni ó mẹ́nubà nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tirẹ̀. Iṣẹ́ ojúrin ọkọ̀ ojúrin fẹ́lẹ́fẹ́lẹ́ tí àjàkálẹ̀ àrùn gbàṣẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ lásìkò tó yọjú sì wà bákan náà. Àwọn ará ìlú ń gbójú sókè fún iṣẹ́ ọ̀hún láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ bí àwọn iṣẹ́ mìíràn ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ bí ó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé àrùn ọ̀hún tún gbémú lẹ́ẹ̀kejì. Alákòjọpọ̀ ìròyìn Rosemary Murtala ròyìn wípé ètò ọkọ̀ ojúrin ọ̀hún ní ọ̀pọ̀ àǹfààní fún ọrọ̀ ajé àwọn ará ìlú gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìran ìjọba àpapọ̀ láti mú ètò ìrìnnà rọrùn fún gbogbogbò kí olú ìlú orílẹ̀-èdè rí àgbéga tó ga jù. Akitiyan àti bá àwọn alákòóso ètò ìrìnnà ọkọ̀ l'Àbújá sọ̀rọ̀ pàbó ló já sí. Bí àti tọ́jú abẹ́rẹ́ àjẹsára fún àjàkálẹ̀ àrùn COVID-19 tí wọ́n retí ní ìparí oṣù yìí ṣe ń fi ojú hàn, ọ̀pọ̀ àbá ló ń wáyé lórí bí wọn yóò ṣe gba abẹ́rẹ́ ọ̀hún. Alákòjọpọ̀ ìròyìn Ifeoma Jinta ròyìn wípé àjọ ìdàgbàsókè ètò ìlera láìpẹ́ yìí sọ àsọdájú fún gbogbo ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè wípé ẹ̀rọ tí yóò gba 400,000 abẹ́rẹ́ àjẹsára náà ń bẹ, nígbà tí àjọ NAFDAC yóò ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ilẹ̀ láti mọ̀ bóyá abẹ́rẹ́ ọ̀hún dára láti gbà. Ètò ìlanilọ́yẹ̀ pàápàá ṣe pàtàkì púpọ̀, èyí yóò mú kí àwọn ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè ní ìgbàgbọ́ nínú rẹ̀ tó kì í dùn kó pọ̀ ṣé ó ní ọbẹ̀ oge. Títí ìwòye ọ̀la Ojúmọ́ Ire ni yóò mọ́ wa.